Aloha, everyone. Friday was a pretty good session overall for the stock market. You can see that the NASDAQ ended up closing at 5005. The high day was 5015, so it didn't quite engulf it, but it looks like it did to me. And you know what? This market's too hit or miss to really care that much. So since it looks like it, to me it did. So the NASDAQ, nice retake of yesterday's selling, but the problem is if you look closely, volume. Above average, yes, but well below the day before levels. The NASDAQ 100 is a similar situation. It actually closed just below the high day on Thursday, so it also basically has retaken the day, but once again, volume is not high enough. So overall, it was a good day, but it wasn't great, and nothing was, amazing about today. And even worse, the S&P 500, it actually did overtake its intraday high days on Thursday. Volume was not only lower, but below average. So overall, it's a good session, but it's hard to get too excited when there was no real follow through and chart patterns are getting more loosey goosey. And once again today, I got taken out of long positions that by the end of the day were back on, but at the same time, sell stops also saved me. But going to the very last index, the Russell 2000, also the weakest index of this day, not even coming close to recapturing its intraday high day on Thursday. All of my hedge of TZA remains on. I've staggered my sell stops below this low a day, that low a day, the open, and low a day. So I have 4 different sell stops on that position. And the Dow Jones Transportation Average has moved back from a sell condition to a neutral condition with the retake of the 200-day moving average. Just more choppy trading. Nothing has changed in this index really since the end of September. And funny enough, now that I say that, when I go straight across, I can see that we're up less than 1% since the middle near end of September, and yet it has been a very volatile ride in there and in every other index. Not a curiosity, just curious how much we're up from this area. Only 8% on the NASDAQ. So, we've done better than the NASDAQ, but boy, oh boy, it's been choppy. Now, good thing about sell stops, this right here. We're starting to see some big losers now in our holdings, and I tell you what, this is where sell stops are now going to start saving your ass. COLM, big failure, but I was out at the open around 61.09. Got a pretty shitty fill, but it was still better than where it closed. INT, also major, major, major collapse. Got out the low a day here. 52.96 was my out signal, so I got out a little bit better than where it closed. However, it wasn't that much better, as 52.96 and then 52.11 is where it closed. But you can see that, let's say that this thing would have gone all the way down to its 200-day moving average. The sell stop is prudent. Either way, though, on a day basis, there's no way I would hold a stock that looks like this. And then ABAX is the best example. My final sell stop was below 62.20. I got out basically, I think it was 62.18, and that's what sell stops are for, as ABAX broke wide open. Now, what's crappy about sell stops is ABCW got shaken out of that one, had yesterday's low a day, got even a really terrible fill, so I left with extremely tiny gains, probably a wash. Overall, I'm not sure. Commissions, it wasn't that bad, but, not good. And then also today, FLT, big shake out of that one, and it's okay. I wouldn't doubt if it fails later on, but still, Jesus Christ. And then the worst one was AVOL. Luckily, somehow, not sure because where it says it open is weird, but my sell stop was at 21.66. I actually got filled at 21.65, but it opened at 21.37, so I'm not quite sure. I didn't check on it intraday because I'm pretty upset that this happened overall in this stock. And that was similar to VLGEA, just some crazy, crazy, crazy trading. But that's what happens in thin stocks where computers run amok and low volume, thin trading. So no surprise, it's just disappointing. But speaking of that, we have to add back MNST and EPAM. And even though earnings are next week, I got shaken out of some of my EPAM yesterday. I want to put half of that back on since it's closing at 66.79, which is above the 66.49 high a day. So it's retaking out the high day of the sell day. So it's basically a fake out, higher volume and higher BOP. So EPAM, when I add back half the position, would be the full amount, but earnings are coming up. The history of this stock's earnings per share and sales growth and overall its announcements, I don't feel like I'm taking on too much risk, and I'll put sell stops on. So if it does gap down and then runs lower like it did back in February in 2014, as you can see, my sell stop would have hit right here at the open, avoiding all that. So, to me, it's worth the risk. And then Monster. Monster gave me an original buy signal here and then an add signal here, and gave me I got knocked out of all of it in this day, but right here would have also been a full sell yesterday on an end of day basis like I put on Thursday. But it is now closing above the high day immediately the next day on above average volume. BOP's a little bit stronger. I want to go ahead and add back half of my original position of MNST. And today's low a day obviously becomes a new sell stop. The exact same situation is at hand for EPAM. You know what? I'll go ahead and use 64.34. So that's incorrect. 64.34 will be my new low a day sell stop. Now for new long positions, we do have one ALLE. This is a canceling quality stock, earnings winner on Thursday. Friday, open lower, tested 50-day moving average and rallied on well above average volume. BOP picked out pocket pivot point buy signal. Excellent, excellent long. And if we are wrong, we don't risk more than 4% overall. Worst case scenario down here. So this is just an excellent long position overall in the market. And it could, like I said, you look at the S&P 500, it has retaken, its intraday high day yesterday, and same with the NYSE, Dow Jones Industrial Average, pretty close, and the NASDAQ pretty close. So, this could have been another sell stop shakeout. So we will see what happens. But ALLE, very nice chart pattern, strong industry group despite this tape. So it's a 2.5% position for being canceling, 1% for being in the price volume BOP surge scan. So 3.5% position since we're at such low risk. And then does SWKS gave an add signal. However, the add signal is a little risky. It's a canceling quality stock and a perfect speculator scan stock. And today's move is because of earnings and a pocket pivot point signal. Volume and BOP increase. Price, nice move. But overall in the pattern, it's a bit risky of a trade. So it would normally be 1% canceling, 1% for perfect speculator. But if I do that, that's actually going to give me the exact amount of shares that I add signal that I currently have long. And since I really don't know if I want to do 1% or 2% of the account capital, we'll go right down the middle and do 1.5%. That's the best way to do. Since I'm not sure about either way to go, we'll just hit it right in the middle. But if this base pattern was a little bit longer, then I would easily go ahead and double up the position. But as you can see on an arithmetic chart, it's it's not the best looking base if you know what I like to see. So, we'll see how it goes. And last time it broke out of an ugly base, I went long, and that worked out really well. So it might also here. And then also IVC, this is not an ad. This would be like an ad signal if we wouldn't have gotten shaken out. And it's not necessarily a buyback, even though it is, because it's not like I got shaken out and now it's giving a re-signal on an intraday basis. This was an end-of-day sell signal, just like MNST. But just like MNST, it's also fighting back. So as an end-of-day signal, this is a whole brand new signal of its own. So it's a 1% of the account capital because it's only in the price volume BOP scan because it's more of a speculative play. But despite it selling off yesterday on heavier volume, you got a big BOP surge, big volume surge, and we're closing at 2044, which is pretty close to the intraday high day. And it did break over the intraday high day at 1.2052, so that's strong enough for me. This is a very nice chart pattern despite the market. And it's only 1%. Earnings are out of the way, so if we're wrong, once again, we don't risk much. 19.99 is our final sell stop level. And then also I was thinking about doing buy stops on VIMC, so I'll be setting my buy stops on that one. Netflix, I'll be setting buy stops on this one, and BLDR. BLDR's buy stop will be above today's high a day. This will be 1% since it's speculative or BOP. It's actually max green BOP for 20 days. If it enters before breaking out the BOP for 20 days green scan also, then I'll increase it to 2%. But for right now, it's 1%. Netflix is in the pre-perfect speculator scan. Pre-perfect speculator scan. The high day here, 572.50, will be my pocket pivot point, or actually just my pivotal point to initiate my buy stops. And then VIMC is a canceling quality stock. Very nice chart pattern. It's above $10, so that's good enough for me. A move above 14.18, and VIMC's buy stops will be activated.